is D Durrell at D Durrell Life Solutions. I hope everybody is having a great day. I'm going live today. Don't really know exactly what I want to talk about. I know that I've had a long day today at the office. Got a lot of things going on with the business right now. I got some out of town activities that I got to engage in over the next in about 2 days. I'm just going to briefly talk about some things going on YouTube that's mental health related. Just going to talk about a few things that are on my mind as it involves things that I see going on mentally um, from a psychological perspective on YouTube itself. So appreciate everybody for coming in. I know I'm doing a quick impromptu. Shout out to Fifi TV. Appreciate you for coming in. So right now, I am actually getting ready to leave the office, and I decided to go ahead and chat a little bit while I'm heading out and everything. So I wanted to kind of chop it up with you all for about 20, 30 minutes before, just a little bit briefly. Um, just give me 1 second. I just want to, talk about a few things on my mind. One thing I'm seeing right now, uh, I want to talk about the stressors, the issues of as far as how child related custody, marital, family issues can affect a person psychologically. As we know right now, very popular YouTuber by the name of Umar Johnson is going through it. His daughter is going through it. You're seeing her show out. I'm pretty sure the family members who are watching and witnessing this is feeling some type of way, whether it's on his side of the family or her side of the family. Um, I'm pretty sure they are, trying to, you know, make some sense of what is going on. They're trying to make some sense of what is going on and how they can deal with this as a family per se. I think publicly the way this is being handled is inappropriate. But see, we do need to understand, and shout out to Cassandra Brown for coming in also, that black men, particularly in our community, black men, in America, I don't think a lot of men understand psychologically how neglect affects children. And there are many black men that I've seen who just think they'll be all right. She gonna handle it, or even neglect their children socially, but not necessarily financially. Then you have those who support them socially, but not economically. Neglect is neglect, and I do think that some of the things that have caused broken families is the fact of men just not taking care of their families in all realms that they are supposed to. Um, no one said you have to do things at the level or the standard that society says, but the mere fact of the attempt to, the fact that you're there, no one's saying that you should feel at fault because you can't afford a 2 to 3 to 5 $400,000 house, 3 to 4 bedrooms, and all that stuff. You know, maybe the fact that we a lot of men pressure themselves to thinking if they can't provide what we perceive adequate care for their children, a lot of men just give up and move on, which is to me worse than sticking it out. Another thing characteristic that is to me disheartening is the fact that as you see Umar Johnson speaking on these things, he's still hurt, obviously affected by that relationship with the first mother, as it relates to who was supposed to marry who. Uh, when you're talking to the mother, the daughter, the first thing you're bringing up is the mother. See, there's all types of layers to this as it relates to Umar feeling some type of way about his ex. baby mother, the daughter feeling some type of way about him based on what she experienced, the limited experience she's had with him. And then you also look at how the mother may feel about Umar, who she has moved on with. And in my opinion, there's anger going on all sides. But see, this is also reflective of what split families look like, dysfunctional families look like in our community, where you have people who are basically creating babies that have no intent to be with each other, or one person is thinking is unbalanced as it relates to how both people feel about each other. And then we think that just because you're no longer with each other, that influences how you should take care of your child. Or the animosity that one has seems to spill over into how much time you can get, or how well I'm going to work and cohabitate with you if we're no longer together. Because it's almost like if we can't be together, then we shouldn't have children together. It's like if the relationship ended bad, that means that the child is going to have a bad or an uneven experience with both parents, to the point where one parent neglects and don't want to be there ever. Like, I just the hell with it. And so I've helped so many families. I helped a lot of families in my career. Before I've been working in the mental health field for now 26 years. And the first 6-7 years of me working in mental health, I was not licensed, fully licensed as a practitioner. I had a temporary license since 2004. Almost 5 years out of receiving, 2 years after getting my master's. And then I became licensed in 2006. And I didn't really begin dealing with a lot of families until I started doing services for CPS, or Department of Family Protective Services. And that's when I really, really dealt with real issues as it involves mental health and how families and relationships and marriages affect the mother, daughter, son, father, and family members who are all affected. It's not an easy situation. It's not. On all fronts. The true losers are the children. What's up, We Unlock? So I'm speaking now, We Unlock, from a professional standpoint. I'm not on my D Darrell live channel going in on Umar right now. I'm just looking at this clinically. And so some people ask the question, they pose the question, being that Umar is a mental health professional, why would you respond and function this way? And you know how important it is for black kids to have their father. You know how important it is for the father to be around. You know the risk, and I know Umar definitely knows the risk of when a father is not around, how negative that is, especially for young females and boys, but especially as it relates to the risk of things such as sexual assault, raping, physical assault, drug use, prostitution. Those are all things that put young black women, young girls at risk when they don't have a father. And those are just facts. And those facts are not just, CDC certified, but if you look at any reputable publication, it will document as such. And so my answer to why Umar did that is because Umar was functioning from a place of subjectivity and emotion, because he was involved in the relationship with these people. He was not functioning from a position of I am the most requested black professional of all times, and you all listen to me because family don't respond to professionals in our field the way other people who don't know us personally. They don't. You're doing yourself a disservice presenting yourself that way, and also it can be seen as unethical because now you're trying to function in a way with your family who you don't necessarily react and function with or interact with from a objective standpoint. So you're doing yourself a disservice, and you're going to put yourself in a position that no one wants to talk to you about any related social issue because you're pretending to be everybody's therapist. That's not a good look. And so people have to understand, as mental health professionals, we don't go around just wearing our counseling and therapist sleeve every goddamn place that we go to because people don't want to hear that. My family don't want to hear that. My friends don't want to hear that. Matter of fact, I go out of my way not to act. When I'm in my own regular environment, social environment around friends, family, etc., people have to ask me what I don't present myself as a mental health professional. I present myself as my normal self, absent of the fact that I am a trained clinician. And so Umar is acting like a person he's acting like a father in a domestic situation. He's not taking on, well, I'm a therapist, I gotta act like, no. And even if he did that, it would probably make things worse. Okay? So he's operating from a place of subjectivity. He has been compromised due to the fact that he had sexual relations with the mother, and he has a child that he does not have a real connection to. Now, my position is, in reflecting on his behavior, particularly as the years pass by, and you've grown in notoriety and popularity, you become the face of Pan-Africanism on social media, not necessarily in real life, but social media. It would have to dawn on you the fact that you've called out certain spaces for acting a certain way towards black women and children, that you within yourself have not acted as a model in that respect. Now, at some point, that should compute that maybe I need to work things out. Maybe you should. And so that is the issue. That's the issue that Umar is dealing with as it relates to his daughter. And I know my brother Weon Locke is in here. Shout out to Weon Locke. And we're telling her she shouldn't act like this. And she shouldn't act. First of all, she is acting like a 22-year-old would act, knowing that I have been neglected of a father. And also, I don't think she expected Umar to respond in the immature manner that he responded in. What's up, Nick Ray? I don't think she ever reflected, never, kind of had any foresight that Umar would call her struggle streamer and all these different names. And so what we're seeing exemplifies the fact that this young lady is hurt. She's emotionally distraught. She has poor impulse control, verbally, emotionally. And so she's not necessarily going to want to be on her best behavior, whether it's on purpose or not. And then many will say, well, she's getting paid, D. Durrell. Okay. Well, she's 22 years old. She has bills to pay. She has dropped out of college. She's trying to become a registered behavioral technician, which doesn't pay a whole lot. What do you expect someone who's 22 years old with limited income? What are they not supposed to do? They're not supposed to want to capitalize on a bag. when that's what many older adults do when they're in precarious situations that they can capitalize from. They want to capitalize on a bag just like anyone else. So I see her only acting in a manner that is germane to the environment that she is on in social media. So yes, she's going to go on a Cynthia G's channel. She is going to go on a Tanya TKO. She's going to do the Tasha K. She's going to go into whoever else podcast, from wherever, and Tommy Sotomayor and others. Okay, and she is going to rehash her issues with Umar over and over and over and over again till the money run out. Now, I'm not saying that's the best thing. However, she only went live because she wanted to know who her family was. It wasn't really to reconnect with Umar in the sense of let's be father-daughter, and it's really about, I would like to know where my siblings are and I want to connect with them. I have sisters out here that I don't know, and that bothers me. I already have not had the best father in the world. I had a stepfather, but now I don't want to lose a relationship with my siblings, which I could understand that as a kid growing up, and you have siblings and you don't, and they're in Philadelphia, I may add, and I don't even know these people. Okay, my position is not only that, but she doesn't even know Umar's family. So that means to tell me Umar's family in Philadelphia. And I know for a fact he has family and he has a dad lives in, and so no one in his family reached out to Umar's daughter. I have to also look at come on. And we have heard Umar's father speak in certain ways about family and the community. You didn't try to get to know your granddaughter. We need to. That's more answers, because this is not just relegated to Umar Johnson. This is about the black community connecting as a family unit at all levels, from a primary to extended family. And so the maternal family, in my position, and particularly the maternal side and the paternal side, they failed this young lady. They failed this lady. Okay? They failed her from the position of they did not pressure either one of the parents to communicate and do what was in the best interest of that child. And that is for her to have the experience of both parents. But you know what they did? One side was probably apathetic and the other side was probably apathetic, or just didn't give a damn. She remarried. She has a stepfather. You can get to know his side of the family. That's not your blood relatives. So I'm just trying to open the conversation so that we all can understand the parameters in which Anissa had to operate from, which she didn't ask for this. She was born into this. No one knew at the time that Umar was going to turn out to be this social media figure that he developed into over time. Okay, I don't think the mom knew that. I don't think Umar even knew that he was going to turn out to become this popular over time. Now, so I am very confident that Umar Johnson is emotionally affected by what his daughter is doing. And he does not feel good about himself as it relates to his mistakes, as it relates to women. And I've even seen an interview where he talked about this is basically karma for the fact that he did not have the respect for black women then that he does now. Well, the reality doesn't give a damn about that. Reality knows that that is not an excuse. Your daughters deserve a father regardless of how you felt and who you respected. Because at the end of the day, what about the respect for the child? And if you're a Pan-African, the foundation of Pan-Africanism is the black family. There's no black community without a black family. Cassandra says Umar only feels affected because he got exposed. Yes, he did get exposed. He got exposed to the point in which there are people that have supported him that are no longer supporting him. There are people who were once caping for Umar no matter what that are no longer doing that. And yes, there are people who are Umar's enemies that don't like him, who are going to capitalize from this. And that just goes with the game of being in social media. And so you cannot get mad at her for utilizing these outlets who are also paying her to go out and express her feelings. You need to do damage control. You're continuing to make this situation public, and she's going to continue to go live on other people's platforms, and she's going to get paid to do interviews. And that's just the facts. So Umar spoke of the anxiety of 3, 4, 5 years ago of thinking something like this may happen. Okay. Now, Cassandra says a few years ago, one of the baby mothers stated that he was a deadbeat dad. I don't recall that. If you can give me the link to that, because I never saw. Well, I do know that he doxed the mother of this particular young lady, the mother of her that owned a little grocery store or whatever, and people to go over there and stuff. But the fact of the matter, I'm looking at this from a financial standpoint, an emotional standpoint, a social standpoint. I'm looking at this from a political standpoint. Okay? And the fact of the matter is that he failed. He failed on all fronts as a father. And I'm going to go out in a limb and say he failed in my position as a Pan-African. Because you failed to uphold the stem of what holds the black community together, and that's black family. And the fact of the matter is that obviously at that point in your life, 22 years ago, and I understand at that point you're in probably your mid to late 20s, you didn't take fatherhood or being a father serious. Because I'm just look, everybody's at a different maturity level. I married my children's mother. I was actually 27 years old, right? I was 27 when I first got married. Okay? And I've been married for 20 years. I had my first child at 20 years old. I stayed with my family. I could have left. I could have moved to, I had offers to go to Indiana, Pennsylvania, and Ohio State to get a PhD in psychology. I made a decision, and Umar's not me, but I made a decision that I am going to capitalize off of my master's degree in mental health counseling and go into business for myself. And I'm not going to put myself through leaving Louisiana to go to the Midwest to get a PhD and be there for another 5 years or uproot my kids and family away from home, from her family. We're both from the same town, same city, same area, to go thousands of miles away just to get a PhD. I made a decision to do what I had to do for my family. And when you have kids, it's called sacrifice. So I don't want to hear these excuses about you're too busy and you're doing all these different things and you're so busy. Well, When you have a family, that is something's called sacrifice. Now, I'm gonna say this. I do believe that the mother was very hyper vigilant in making fatherhood difficult for Umar. Okay? Okay? I think she made things difficult for him, and he didn't make it any better. He didn't make it easy for her based on his behavior and the lack of whatever that relationship evolved into. You know, my position is whether she wanted to marry you or not, you both laid down and had a child together. So I don't want to hear about who want to marry who and who didn't, and for whatever political reasons. The fact of the matter, you made a child together, and marriage is not about love. Okay? Marriage, let me repeat for that. For those that claim they love everybody, love somebody so much. Marriage will not, love alone is not going to hold a marriage together. Okay? Love alone. And for all those people who have this grandiose feel of love, and I gotta love, and I have to care, and my emotional ties and my soulmate, I'm sorry to break it to you, as a man who's been married for 20 years, no. Love doesn't work like that in a marriage, okay? Because the type of love that I'm talking about is the type of love of you being selfless, the type of love of you caring more about the people around you than you care about yourself. And you're not looking out just for your own happiness and benefit. You're looking at how and what you can do to make everybody else's life better, your partner's better. See, so many people want to marry for a selfish benefit. I never hear people talking about, I want to be married so that I can provide happiness and so many positive things for the person that I'm living with. Usually what you hear on social media is, I'm marrying this person so that I can experience the positive things that this person can provide for me in whatever realm or whatever list that is. Okay? No one talks about how great they are and that I want to transfer that to somebody else to make them happy. I never hear that on social media. I never hear people talk about how great they're going to treat somebody else. I hear a lot of people talking about how much they want to be treated. Like, I hear people talking about, in many situations, they couldn't love. I need to be loved the way I want to be loved. Okay. Well, being loved the way that you want to be loved takes time. It takes patience. It takes, consistency over time. And so for many situations, I'm wondering if people really claiming they love, or they just throwing out a 4-letter word without understanding how this can, how this affects both parties in the long run. Because when you love someone, there's a certain level of acceptance and tolerance that comes with that. Okay? Allah says most women want the wedding, not the marriage. Well, you can't get one without the other. Nobody's spending money on no goddamn wedding without being married and not dealing with all of that, like that comes afterwards. So marriage, wedding, marriage, whatever. It's tied together. One is ceremonial, then the legal aspect of it. So if you don't want the wedding, you don't want, and then I didn't have a wedding. I went to the Justice of the Peace and got married. Okay? Most people probably, I think it's like 50-50 those, because I know that there's a decline in marriages as far as people having weddings. And so if you are not willing to make it your point to do whatever you can to make somebody else happy in life, marriage is not for you. And in some instances, you're sacrificing your own happiness so that someone else can be happy. You're going to be sacrificing something. If you think you're going to just be giving and you're going to be just taking and not giving, that's not what marriage is about. And so many people, we have such a convoluted sense of what relationships are. And the communication between people is so horrible that we don't even listen. We don't even listen. What's up, Nicole Marie? She says, Nicole Marie states, you have to be selfless, not constantly selfish. I've always wanted the marriage. I don't care about a whit. And there are women like that. I mean, to be honest, guys, and so for all these people on social media that give this extreme sense of what relationships are and their reactions, and I understand, and it took me a while once I was just doing content, understand why there are so many people that have all these issues with relationships. It's because all the people who have these problems with relationships come to social media so that they can express their discomforts. Because the people who are actually stable in relationships don't care to go online to express those sentiments or any sentiments at all. And that's why you see an unbalance between people who are loving their relationships versus the overwhelming, 80 to 90% of those who are single, childless, unmarried. That's a lot of Black YouTube is made up of that dynamic. Because the people who are happily married with children, career, don't have time to do YouTube. Those people, it's almost like if you fit that category, the category that I'm in, it basically limits your ability to be a content creator or to have time to watch a social media platform like YouTube, because YouTube is time consuming. If you look at Facebook is not a platform that requires you to spend a lot of time. You can scroll and watch certain little snippets of things and go to the next for whatever. And then, you may do some other stuff, communicate. Even on Snapchat, not Snapchat, but Instagram, you're watching pictures of people. You're going down and spinning through things. No one is literally sitting for 2, 3, 4, 5 hours, on average 2 or 3 hours, to watch one person do a live stream. That's not in my position, convenient for people who are constantly doing things. It's for people who don't have those connections, and those people that don't have a lot of social interaction. They invest more time in these activities because they don't have other people they're connected to. For the most part, there are people like myself and others who just make time for themselves to do these things, or they can do it periodically. For myself, I spend a lot of time listening to social media on YouTube while I'm working or en route to going to a clinic or a location or en route to doing some other activities. And then over the years, I found myself doing less and less content. Like right now, I'm on live for like 30 minutes. I'm probably going to be on for another few minutes, and then I'm going to head out and I'm going to excuse me. I'm actually going to start doing some other things. Okay. And so I had a very, very busy day today. What's up, K Business? And K's a married man. K Business, he's a married man. And so it's sacrifice, man. I never forget, me and Kay and others, since we did a live stream with Mahogany, Roots, and MJ. It was all married men. And you know what? That was one of the best and most enjoyable live streams I ever done. I think that was about a year or two ago that we did that live stream, if Kay remember. And we as married men talked about being in stable, long-term relationships. Yeah, it was a year ago. And you know what? That live stream reflects the positives of the black community. Now, I guarantee you, if you look at the men, it was Kay, myself, it was the other guy from New York that's like the investment guy. I forgot his name, who sells insurance and stuff like that. They were on there. Alonzo, yeah. Alonzo was on there. Man, we were talking about, and you know what we talked about as men? This is the difference. As men, we actually talked about how we didn't talk about how we benefited from the marriage. We talked about more about how we treated our wives and our family. That's what we talked about as men, mature, professional, successful men. We spent most of our time talking about what we're doing to make our wives happy. That's what the discussion was about. The discussion was not, but as a man, I'm getting this, and I demand submission, and we should get this, and I want this, and this is how I do things, and I want it. If I don't get it, I'm going to say this. No, that's not what mature married men were discussing on a panel. What we were talking about is we talked about how we manage our finances, how we spend time with each other, how we manage fatherhood versus being a husband, how we interact and do all types of things. And our workload, business, travel, vacation, family. We talked about everything that encompasses being head of household. But more than anything, we talked about how we treat our wives and how we take care of our children. All of these people coming on social media claiming they know so much. You got to have game. No, you don't. Game is basically lying and presenting yourself in a manner that is not truly who you are to entice somebody to have sex with you. That's all game is. You're trying to manipulate. You're trying to present yourself in a way to make yourself seem more attractive than what you really are, so that you can have sex with somebody. That's what game is for men. That's it. So those dating coaches that teach you got to have game. I saw Lucario went live the other day. Umar went through what he went through, and I'm cool with Umar, but Umar obviously don't have game. Okay. So what does game have to do with you neglecting your child for over 10 years? What is I like, guys, we got to start making sense. I understand we want to come up with catchphrases and things, but we have to make this make sense, please. It has to sink into the reality of what's going on. Like we really, really need to that's just the reality. That is just the reality. So yeah, Kay said I saw Lucario video. It didn't make sense. I'm like, what does game have to do with fatherhood? Like, what does game have to do with you abiding by a visitation order? What does game have to do? I guess he felt it was game that if he really had game, the mother wouldn't have been acting the way she was acting. The reason why she acted the way she was acting is because they had a child. Then he said if he had game, he would have picked a better baby mama. First of all, you're losing when you're talking about picking a baby mama. You shouldn't be wanting to date to have baby mamas. So this is the issue. Now, Lucario doesn't even have what I consider traditional relationships. I think him and his wife swing, or they do some other stuff, polygamy. I don't know what he got going on. So he's the last one that should be speaking on. He ain't picked how do you pick? Who goes around picking a baby mother? or you're gonna be my baby mom. Like that's supposed to be a badge of honor that I'm gonna impregnate you and not marry you. I'm gonna impregnate you without the intentions of ever marrying you, and then we just gonna have a child out of wedlock. Now, the proof is in the pudding as it relates to families. Those families with two parent households are at an advantage versus those that have a one parent household. So I don't understand this need for everybody to feel like I can do it all by myself and I'm gonna live great. The answer is 99% of the times that is false. You're probably not. You're probably not. Okay? You're probably not going to put your child in the best interest of doing well. You're probably not going to provide your family with the best situation. You're probably not going to build as much wealth as you would if you had a wife or a husband. And so you have a lot of professionals, particularly black women or black men who live alone, who have children, who basically make $100,000 or more. And basically the $100,000 that they're making feels like $60,000 when you're doing it all by yourself. Like, that's the reality of it. Like, seriously speaking, let's say you're making $200,000 and you're raising a family. You got 3 kids, man or woman, with $200,000 raising 3 kids. Now, many of you all would say, well, that's pretty good because most households are like $70,000, $80,000, $90,000. So he's making double. Yeah, that you are right. You are right. But I'm looking at it from a wealth building standpoint. You are not going to be able to build as much wealth if, let's say, you as it relates to a man who's making $200,000 with 2 kids and a wife who's probably making around $70,000, $80,000. In that situation, or let's say she makes $100,000, 50% of what you make, you're going to be able to save and build, even if you're paying all the bills at home, as a lot of men who make that type of money. But you're also looking at the wealth that she's building and the wealth that you're building, because she, even though may not be paying all the bills, she's still paying for things so that the house can function. Okay? For women who have husbands that pay all the bills, like say for instance, I pay all the bills in my house. I pay everything, the mortgage, lights, utilities, all that stuff. But that doesn't mean my wife is not going to pay for things in our home. That doesn't mean my wife doesn't pay for groceries and other needs of the house. She still pays for things, even though I take care of all the bills and everything. But she's building wealth and saving. I'm building wealth and saving because if she wasn't around, I would totally have to come out of pocket for everything. So people who live with a partner who are married that build wealth are at an economic advantage. Total economic advantage. Okay? So you're not bossing out. You're not, because I'm going to ask you all this. The number one way that wealthy women, the number one way, the number one event that allows women to gain wealth, and that's through marriage. That's through their husbands dying or through inheriting their husband's wealth. That's the number one transfer of wealth for women. Okay, for wealthy women, it's not a industry that you're working in or business. It's wealth. The richest women on earth, minus Oprah. Okay, that's Oprah is an anomaly. That doesn't happen a lot. The number one way, if you look at the women, I guarantee you, Oprah is married. She's worth $1 billion or more, right? I guarantee you, when you look at the other women, look at the guy who got a divorce. Divorce and being widowed, someone dying. That's the way women gain wealth. They're both negative situations, but most women are not building this wealth on their own. Most women are getting this wealth from men through legal means of marriage, or they inherited it. And that's just a fact. And so all of these women that think I'm getting the bag, yeah, you are going to get the bag. But when you have a mindset of just wanting to be by yourself and I can have kids and do all this without a man, you're going to, that money that you built, if you making 200, it's going to be cut in half. Because you're spending for everything as opposed to you having let's just say you made 175K, your husband made 90K. Okay? That guy probably not making as much as you, but he's going to cover any man making any substantial amount of money is going to want to pay for some things. No real man, even if you make double the money that he's making, is going to allow you to pay. And no woman wants to pay all the bills. And a man live in his soft era. No. You're going to be paying half of those bills or more. Okay? West Bank states, Darrell, what's your opinion of an IUL as a wealth builder? I think you're talking about is that that Index Universal Life Insurance? I actually have one. I actually have one, and it is a wealth builder. Particularly, I'm going to state, for me, I opened my IUL or UIL, I think it's called, Universal Index Life, or whatever it's called. I opened up my life insurance policy at the age, I think I was 28 years old. If I had to do it all over again, I probably would have gotten me a policy at the age of 18. Because the cash value bills, right now, I'm sitting on a nice chunk of change for paying on it. The one that I have, I've had it for now almost 18 years. And it has accrued certain thousands and thousands of dollars. And I didn't even really get a big policy. At the time, it was like 100,000. If I had to do it all over again, I probably would have got one for like $500,000. And I would have been paying about, I think I paid 30 now, probably about $100 a month for that policy, or $120 to $30 for that. If it was 500,000, the one I got now is like $35, like $38 a month, which is nothing. If I had to do it all over again, I would have gotten a $250,000 to $500,000 policy, paying triple the money. Yes, those are great. Another reason why I like those, because if you get into a bind and you need to borrow money out of that, you're borrowing that money at like what, 0.1, like 1.2%. But see, that's building wealth. But see, these are all assets. These are all assets that you should be able to, that you can have. But when you try to do these things by yourself, you make it harder. Yeah, you making 300,000, but that 300,000 does not feel like 300,000 if you got two or three kids. Especially after 2 or 3 kids, it feels like $150,000. It really does. Because if you had another partner working, they would cover some of those costs. You would save more. They would save each other. Just like someone, they think they balling out on $100,000. No, you're not balling out with $100,000 and 2 kids. You're not. You may live semi-comfortable, but you're not balling out, particularly in the state that you're in the South, maybe. Particularly the city you're in, but you're not balling out, as opposed to you making $100,000 and your husband made $100,000 or the spouse made $100,000. Then you balling out because you all are taking up some of the costs. That's wealth building. One of the best ways to build wealth, Umar Johnson, is to have a wife. Facts. You save on childcare. You save on so many different things. She can make money. And you basically feed off each other. That's wealth building. But yeah, guys, I wanted to talk about this a little bit. I'm about to go ahead and get out of here, man. I'm at the office. I'm about to get out of here because I'm getting ready to go home. And I just wanted to chat with you all for a little bit. I was on here for like 50 minutes. I was actually going to stop around 30, 45 minutes. But I just wanted to talk about in full circle. And I want to talk a little bit more about this because we have to look at the psychodynamics of how you emotionally are affected by a dysfunctional family nucleus, how the child is affected, how everybody involved is affected. And you're doing your child a disservice at the end of the day. So thank you all for being here today, guys. This is D. Durrell. Have a great day.